and with John Lennon formed one of the most successful songwriting duos in history. It also gives many unpaid personal performances around the world. It was Linda who turned the entire McCartney clan into vegetarians. Hi to all, welcome to the Tom Ricola Style channel where I talk about loving yourself and the world around you through veganism. My section about great philanthropies would not be complete without the living legend and rock star Sir Paul McCartney. Few people know that he has influenced thousands of people, setting an example of an ecological lifestyle and building a future without violence. So today we are going to talk about the great legend, incredible musician, famous vegetarian and activist Paul McCartney. We'll delve into the origins of his vegetarian journey, tracing his transformation from meat eating to becoming one of the most influential and active advocates of plant-based lifestyle. In the meantime, support my work specifically for English language YouTube with your likes, subscriptions and comments, so you will help the channel a lot. Thank you! When it comes to music culture, an artist's influence often goes beyond the art itself. This is evident when it comes to Paul McCartney and the Beatles. He gained worldwide fame as one of the lead vocalists and bassists of the Beatles, and with John Lennon formed one of the most successful songwriting duos in history. McCartney has continued to create memorable music after the band broke up, and he is one of the most successful songwriters and performers of all time. Paul uses his musical fame as a powerful tool to promote philanthropy, but also gives many unpaid personal performances around the world. He regularly performs unpaid charity concerts, included headlining the legendary Live Aid concert, which brought attention to the famine crisis in Ethiopia, raising more than $200 million. Psychologically, Paul's personality demonstrates altruism, helping others without apparent tangible benefit. But it wasn't always like that. Paul McCartney was born in Liverpool in 1942, grew up in the city, and was educated in the Liverpool Institute. Since writing his first song at the age of 14, Paul's work has been incredibly prolific and influential, crossing many different genres. Growing up, Paul describes that he grew up on a very traditional meat-based. The musician loved to eat meat, but he vividly remembers one time when his mother offered him tongue and he refused to eat it. As a child, Paul was a carnivore, mainly because it was difficult to become a vegetarian in post-war England. You ate whatever your parents gave you without complaint. As he grew older, he continued to eat meat, and there were even occasions when his father threw a bag of sausages on stage during some of his early concerts. While on tour, Paul ate whatever food was provided and didn't pay much attention to it. In 1968, the Beatles traveled to Rishikesh, a city in India, to learn meditation. They did not eat meat during their stay. While it inspired lead guitarist George Harrison to ditch meat in his daily life, it didn't have the same effect on Paul. The following year, Paul married his girlfriend Linda Eastman, who took his last name and became Linda McCartney. Linda already had a daughter from a previous marriage, and after marriage he has 3 more children from Paul. Paul said Linda became a great cook, but in the early years of their marriage they still ate traditional meat food. McCartney bought Hyde Park Farm in Kintyre, Scotland in the late 60s. He spent time there when he wanted to get away from city life and all the attention he was getting from the media and fans. The farm was also home to animals, and it was these animals that changed his and Linda's lives forever. Paul and Linda McCartney decided to give up meat in 1975 when they watched lambs playing outside their farm window while they ate lamb chops. Since then, the family has become vegetarian, and each of them has contributed to vegetarian in their own way. Both gave up meat on the same day. Paul described how it happened. We were in the farmhouse kitchen sitting down to our usual Sunday roast lunch, and through the window we could see all these little lambs, a big gang of them doing those good things that lambs do. You know, when they all run to one end of the field like that, doing an impression of happy lambs, and then they all run back to the other end of the field. They were having a great time. And we just stared at the lack of lamb on our plate. We've made that connection and said it. Then we decided to give up meat. And parallel to this, Paul introduced spiritual life. Yoga and meditation have been part of McCartney's routine since his Beatles days. In the 1960s, the Beatles helped popularize transcendental meditation, a form of meditation that involves sitting for 20 minutes twice a day and repeating a mantra. Having decided to give up meat, Paul and Linda faced the problem of what to eat. It wasn't as easy in the 70s as it is today. Paul said at the time, the food has always been around the central piece of meat, so for us there was a hole in the plate which we gradually filled. Since we didn't have a turkey, we didn't have a roast, Linda invented a kind of pasta turkey. But you know what, it was fine. It was wonderful, we liked it, it tastes good. It was Linda who turned the entire McCartney clan into vegetarians. So cooking meatless meals for the family every night was hard work for Linda. Most of the time she had to be creative with what she served to the table. This led to Linda informally starting a food company for friends and family. Paul said many of their friends have told them they don't know what to do when they have guests who don't eat meat. So Linda created foods they could keep in their freezers for those occasions. And of course their friends could eat their food themselves too. According to Paul, the first goal was to make it taste good because you don't convince people to give them bad food. The products that Linda made were extremely rare at the time. In 1989, Linda published her first cookbook, Linda McCartney's Home Cooking. It became a bestseller. Hundreds of thousands of copies were sold worldwide. In 1991, she officially founded Linda McCartney Foods. It started by selling frozen meat-free meals in England, such as lasagna, pasta, burgers, pies, and soups, but quickly expanded its range and territory. Linda McCartney's homestyle cooking range was launched in the US in 1994 and was arguably the country's first major meat-free meal brand. The brand was extremely successful. In 1995, Paul and Linda appeared on the television show The Simpsons, where they shared their support for vegetarianism with a wide audience. The episode, titled Lisa the Vegetarian, was critically acclaimed at the time and remains a fan favorite for many. Paul and Linda agreed to take part in the episode on the conditions that Lisa remained a vegetarian for the rest of the show. In the same year, Paul and Linda became patrons of the Vegetarian Society. Unfortunately, in 1995, Linda was diagnosed with breast cancer. Her condition worsened and she died in 1998 when she was only 56 years old. After her death, Paul told people who wanted to pay tribute to her that giving up meat was the tribute that Linda herself would have most wanted. Paul hadn't given an interview for months, but he made sure that the first media outlet to interview him after Linda's death was Animal Times, a magazine run by American animal rights group PETA and Britain's Viva Life magazine. He said, "Animal rights are too good an idea for the next century to suppress. At one point or another, all four Beatles followed a vegetarian diet. But of the four musical legends, Sir Paul McCartney has been the longest-serving animal welfare advocate." In 2006, Paul spoke out against the Canadian seal hunt. Together with his second wife, Heather Mills, he visited the Gulf of St. Lawrence to bring it to the attention of the international community. They also appeared on Larry King Live to discuss the issue and to discuss Danny Williams, the premier of Newfoundland at the time. Paul describes the seal hunt as a cruel practice that must end. He suggested that fisheries have shifted to a different business model, just as whales have shifted to whale watching tours. He also tried to convince people to give up meat by writing letters and giving speeches to people in influential positions. One of the people he wrote to in 2008 or possibly earlier was the Dalai Lama. Not causing suffering to living beings is an important part of Buddhism, so Paul didn't understand why the Dalai Lama ate meat. I found out he wasn't a vegetarian, so I wrote to him, "Excuse me for pointing this out, but if you eat animals, there is some suffering somewhere in that plane." According to Paul, this led to a correspondence. He replied very kindly, saying that my doctors were telling me that I should eat meat, and I responded again by saying, I don't think that's right. So we had a little correspondence. In 2010, Paul said, "I think he's a vegetarian most of the time now. It's a little old-fashioned to think he can only get it from meat." For many years, Paul has been a well-known and active supporter of animal protection and vegetarianism. After becoming a vegetarian in 1975, the Beatles star has been involved in many campaigns, most notably PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and in 2011 he was the narrator of the organization documentary Glass Walls. The video, complete with graphic clips about the meat industry, was intended to show the public what goes on behind the slaughterhouses doors. In the video, Paul leaves no doubt about his reasons for doing it. I hope that when you see the routine cruelty involved in raising, transporting and killing animals for food, you will join the millions of people who have decided to get rid of meat from their place forever. And it should be noted that while Paul uses the word vegetarian, he also addresses cruelty in the egg and dairy industries in the video. In the decades since its release, meat-free diets have become more common, and many people attribute this parts of organizations like PETA. This video is not only a tribute to Paul McCartney's iconic music, but also a testament to his unwavering commitment to a meat-free lifestyle that has inspired countless others to make green choices. Since its release, a 13-minute clip has been viewed more than 20 million times. One of the main reasons McCartney became vegetarian was compassion. They wanted better for themselves, the animals, and the planet. After Linda passed away, Paul vowed to continue his activism in the field of animals' welfare, but now that extended to caring for the planet. He also touched on animal rights issues in his music. His 1993 protest song "Looking for Changes" recounts the horrors of vivisection, and his jingle "Meat-Free Monday" promotes the Meat-Free Monday initiatives, which suggested that if not vegetarians go without meat for just one day a week, it can greatly help the planet. He actually found it with his two daughters, Stella McCartney and Mary McCartney, in 2009. Vegetarianism has been in the McCartney family for decades. If you ask people to go completely vegetarian, it can't be too difficult, Paul told The Guardian. Paul thinks meatless Mondays are definitely something Linda would support. There are many reasons why Paul remains a vegetarian. By knowing that Linda would be proud of it, it's one of the nicest things. If slaughterhouses had glass walls, everyone would be vegetarian, McCartney has repeatedly stated. A study by Brighton and Sussex Medical School found that the campaign was highly successful, with 30% of those taking part for 5 years or more cutting meat out of their diet altogether. Today, Linda's legacy is carried on by daughter Mary, who has published several meat-free cookbooks on her own. Mary has also presented several recipe guides for the Food Network kitchen program, following in her mother's footsteps by making meatless recipes accessible to more people. Their daughter Stella McCartney was inspired to stop eating meat as a child as soon as her parents didn't, is still a vegetarian, both in her diet and her profession to this day. Her eponymous fashion brand is probably the most successful, if not the only, vegetarian luxury fashion house in the world. Stella McCartney creates luxury items without materials such as leather, fur, and angora. The brand's perfumes are cruelty-free, and Stella often uses her runway shows and seasonal campaigns to promote animal-free fashion. Although Paul's decision to give up meat was motivated by compassion for animals, over time he learned that there are strong health and environmental arguments for giving up meat. On March 30, 2022, PETA shared a letter with green matters that McCartney wrote to Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson. McCartney notes that Starbucks locations in the UK and India already charge the same price for cow's milk and non-dairy milk such as oat, almond and soy milk as the many other coffee chains such as Panera Bread, Fields Coffee and Spread Manja. McCartney is encouraged Johnson to follow suit at Starbucks locations in the US. This move is sure to encourage more customers to choose plant-based milk, which is a better choice for the environmental, animal welfare and human health. According to PETA, cow's milk has the biggest impact on the environment. Do you share this statement? Write your opinion in the comments and share this video. Paul deserves credit for giving up meat in the 70s and for all the work he has done over the years to convince others to do the same. It's really impressive. And although the vegan society already existed in the 70s, it was very small, and it is quite possible that Paul had not even heard of such a concept as vegetarianism. Not only has music entered our daily lives, but everything from hairstyles to lifestyles has followed suit. So, when Paul McCartney followed in Linda's footsteps and became a vegetarian in 1975, many people followed suit. Paul McCartney is an advocate for many charities and causes. He is also a strong supporter of peace talks, the Save the Arctic campaign, the Anti-Heroin Project, and the Teen Cancer Foundation. Besides raising awareness about breast cancer, since his late wife Linda died of breast cancer, there is one thing that Paul cares about the most: animal rights. However, Paul would not have become a true defender of animal rights if he had not become a vegetarian. However, over time, he also learned about veganism. It was even mentioned in his own activism as early as 1995. In the Eating Our Way to Extinction documentary, he narrated, says, "It takes twice as much land to feed a meat eater as a vegetarian and half as much to feed a vegan. All living beings fear torment, all living beings fear death. Know yourself not only in man but in any living being. Do not kill and do not cause suffering and death. All living beings want the same things as you. Understand yourself in any living being. We are on the right track, a blessing to be lifted up in spirit. Billions of animals are killed every year completely mindlessly. Now more than ever. Thinking about it, you despair. But don't despair, because there are more vegetarians than ever and you can join them." And as a great musician said about the social significance of switching to a vegan diet, meat-free is the new rock and roll. Guys, I'm very happy that I live with such outstanding personalities as Sir Paul McCartney at the same time and can share with you another experience of an ecological lifestyle. I hope this video inspired you. Thanks for joining me. Till next time.